Welcome to this walkthrough of my Darude Sandstorm remake. If you haven't watched the entire remake, I will link it in the description, because now I will go through the project file and play the individual synthesizers, instruments and patterns, so I won't play it in the entirety. Without further ado, let's get into it. We've got this impact effect, which is made up of 3 different sounds. So a crash, well, let's see, this one, and I've called it impact. It's just this classic FL Studio hit, and the kick for some more punch, which sounds like this. Yeah. All right. This is how the song starts, but it also starts with a reverse crash with some delay on it. Let's go over the effects real quick, because this is not a whole lot. We've got this impact that is hitting along the song, we've got the crash that is recurring all the time, and we've got this longer reverse crash, and we've got a shorter reversed crash, which sounds like this. Almost the same. No, it is the same, but without the delay. Yeah, it's the same. So these are the main effects that get repeated over the entire song. And then we've got one more. This is this airplane sound. It's called airplane landing. And this one can be heard usually when the hook starts and ends, and in the last hook we have it an additional time in the middle of it. So, but that's it. So there isn't a lot of effects going on. Now let's really start with the intro. The first thing after the hit that you will hear is this high pitch violin string sound, which is really just one long note, and it is a citrus preset, I think. Yeah, violin ensemble should be somewhere there. There it is. Just this violin ensemble. So didn't even created something myself. Just used this preset, and this one is fading out in volume over the course of these bars. While this is fading out, the main synth is fading in. So you can hear right now. The famous chords that everyone recognizes immediately. Yeah, this sound is a citrus as well. We've got 2 operators, and they both are a saw wave, and they have a longer attack, so it's fading in a little bit, so it sounds more soft and not so attacky as if I would put it. Now you have the hard attack. Now it sounds way more soft. So they both are basically the same, and I phased it a little bit, and that's it. So the first operator has a 2x ratio, and the second operator has a 1x ratio. So we've got a little layering going on here. I can't talk today. Yeah, and then we've got the famous lead sound. let's see. We've got these 16th notes, and they sometimes are a bit longer, so I had to play around with the length of the individual notes to get the result that sounds closest to the original. But I think I'm pretty close. And the sound is a 3x oscillator. 2 actually. The first oscillator is a square wave, and it's set to 0 semitones. The second is this rounded square wave that is set to -19 semitones, and the third oscillator is this sawtooth sound that is set to -7 semitones. And that is actually the key to create this sound, to have the different pitches here of the wave sounds, because when you keep them all at 0 semitones, it doesn't sound right. So I had to play around with this to get it right. And the second one is also a 3x oscillator. We've got another square wave here at oscillator 1, and this time this one is also set to -19 semitones. The second one is a sawtooth set to -19 semitones as well, and the third one is a square again set to -24 semitones. So we've got this lower layer and we've got this higher layer, and together they sound just right. Let's see what we've got in the mixer right here. Actually not a whole lot, a little bit of EQing, so I increased the mid-range here.
I'm not sure I understand.
They're always listening, always. What I was saying. So I boosted the mid-range a little bit, took away the low frequencies and put a destructor on it, so distortion. Let's see how it sounds without the distortion. So it's just a little bit crispier with the distortion. And the same here as well with the lower part of the lead, but I boosted the mid frequencies, mid to high frequencies even more, and it also has the distortion on it. And they both go into this ping pong delay that you can hear pretty heavily. Alright, then we've got a snare build up here that is nothing special. And then we have the hook. There we've got the bass sound, which is just a moogish sound that is playing in the offbeat all the time. And it's not changing as well. It's always playing the same melody and always in the offbeat. So same melody, same rhythm for the entire song. I think I even used the preset from Citrus here. Where is it? Moog, 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 moog. Somewhere. Can't find it. Where is it? Moog. 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 Yeah, Moogish. There we go. It's a square, 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 so it's basically just a square. So in the second half the melody changes up, so it sounds like this. So it gets a little bit more simplified, and the bass also only plays one note, and as I said, the synth strings also play just one chord, so it gets more simple and it builds a little bit up here until it goes into the bigger break right here. And we also have this arpeggio going on. Let me play it, the context. So it's really high pitch. Let's see. To be honest, I'm not sure if this is the right melody. I tried to listen to it very hard, but yeah, it sounded like it would change after this sequence, but whatever I tried, it didn't sound right. It sounded okay with the first sequence, but yeah, these ones just didn't sound right. So I just cutted it here and repeated the first sequence, and it sounded good enough for me. It's pretty much in the background, so it wasn't noticeable, and so I kept it like that. Then it goes into the break. And if I would enable the dry level, so it's almost starting, or it's starting just like in the beginning, in the intro, but then we've got another arpeggio. This dark and beefy sounding arpeggio. And it is slowly opening up over the break. And the synth strings is also fading out, so we only have the arpeggio. So now the synth strings are fading out, and we only got the arpeggio and the lead sound here. And then the arpeggio is slowly building up and opening up the cutoff filter until it reaches the second hook. So let's see what this arpeggio is. Surprise! It's a citrus. So what do we have here? We've got two operators. The first one is this weird wave sound. I don't know how you would call it, but yeah, I played around with it a little bit. And the second one is the same, just a bit more distorted. So you can't hear it when the cutoff is pretty low, but when the cutoff filter opens up, you can hear that it's very, very distorted. So let me see where it's. So now it's completely open, and you can hear that it's very beefy, very distorted. And it gives the second hook a totally different character. So that's basically it for the instruments in the second hook. The arpeggio is playing alongside all the other instruments that already played in the first hook. What is different here is the structure, because this part where the melody is simplified, which is the end of the first hook, as you can see here. So here it gets simplified and the snares come. This part is coming in the first hook after 24 bars. And in the second hook, it is already coming after 16 bars. And after this part, the song isn't finished. We've got another 16 bars of the main melody as the climax of the song before it's done. Other than that, there isn't a whole lot different. As you can see, there aren't a lot of instruments and sounds involved, but it doesn't take a lot to make a hit sound. And when we take a look at the mixer, sorry, what the
I don't know how to respond to that.
Shut the There's also not a lot going on, so just got the kick and the snare, hi-hat, and all of that. The lead sounds, we've already looked at those. The arpeggio, just having a stereo shaper on it to spread it out a little bit. Here's a quick tip if you want to automate the volume of a channel. I usually don't do it with the fader because I use the fader to mix everything, and if I automate it, it can just mess everything up, and I don't have the control over the actual mixing level. So I put a fruity scent on it that is doing nothing to the sound, but I can automate the dry level, and that will control the volume in the end. So as you can see here, for the pad I automated the dry level, and also for the synth strings I've automated the dry level instead of the volume fader. When it comes to mastering, I didn't do a whole lot, just a multiband compressor for the low, mid and high bands, and then a fruity limiter to push the gain a little bit higher. And that's it. So nothing fancy here. I probably forgot a few things that you might have found interesting, but you can download the FLP yourself and check it out. And if you have questions, leave a comment below and I will gladly answer every question that you have. I hope this was helpful and fun for you to watch. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.